Thanks, Tim. That was great. Up next, we have Whit Williams, who is a guitarist for the critically acclaimed rock band Cotton Mather. He's a 2018 Pushcart Prize nominee and the recipient of the 2014 Mississippi Review Poetry Prize. His latest book, Red Clay Journal, is available from FutureCycle Press. Please welcome Whit Williams.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Malvern for hosting this. This is my third book event here. Malvern is such an amazing place. We so lucky here in Austin to have this bookstore, not just the poetry and the prose, but the space for community engagement and literary engagement. So thank you to Malvern. Please feel free to, when the reading's over, please shop around and support this wonderful bookstore. Thanks to my wife Ashley for the fried pies to go with the Southern poetry. And another round of applause for Tim. He's not only a badass poet, he's just a badass. If something goes wrong in the building this evening, he will get us to safety. He's trained for that.
I got you covered.
You do. On the other hand, I can play the guitar solo at the end of Hotel California. So there's that. Note for note. Yeah. So you decide who's more of the badass. I'm sticking with Tim. So the new book is Red Clay Journal. There are, I guess, two catalysts for it being late 2015. I traveled back home to Alabama and spent some time with the family for good and bad situations. So there was a lot of bittersweet nostalgia there. And then I also got to attend a reading by the poet Charles Wright, who's just a big influence on me, and it was just an incredible. It was a Missionary Center reading on campus, and it was really a creative spark for me. And I felt like I was getting an assignment from the man. And so those two things, I think, hearing him read, talk a little bit about his process and his form, along with the life experience with being with our family, basically helped Red Clay into existence. And then the last thing is that my mother, she kept journals, and almost every day of her adult life, she wrote in it, wrote diary entries, some essays. I even got her to write a poem or two once, and she published, I think, one of her essays. She knew that this book was in existence and was about to be printed out, but unfortunately she didn't live to see it. So I would like to dedicate this reading to my mother, to Betty Williams. She was my biggest supporter and proponent for being a writer. So this is for her. And I will start at the beginning and focus on poems that are mainly set in the past, work my way forward to poems that are stitched to the present, as my friend Dennis mentioned last week, the two that are so linked. This one is called a small town epiphany of sorts. Sweet little slash and burn moments, teenagers flush with wonder, a night sky ignored from the mall parking lot, those full moon evenings cruising riverside in a $300 Datsun, oldest among us driving slow, way too slow, windows down, cigarette smoke, a raging wildfire of cuss words, of squeals, tape deck busted, FM college radio, experimental jazz music, shooting stars music, music of cellular growth, death, of blood, of meat, music of backseat thighs touching, sweaty hands music, music of honeysuckle-scented nighttime air, misting upon sweet gums, upon pines, those highway lines faded, street lamps burnt out, headlights killed, this Asian contraption swerving left, then right. To this very day, I am still swerving. The father and the son and Canadian geese. Everything blurred by mist and fog, the bog, the man and boy, the park trail behind them, this flock honking their arrival south, the towering oaks, elms, sweet gums, leaf stripped, tip tops lost in low clouds. The boy's grip tightens on the man's hand. With the other, he lifts binoculars, all but useless. Ashamed not to see them, says the man, after such a long drive and all. But the boy squints, leans a toboggan head forward, swears he can see shapes shifting in the distance, ghostly gray images flashing in and out of fog. The boy keeps quiet, mulling over that this must be his imagination. Ashamed not to see them, the man repeats, after such a long drive. The honking sporadic, then stopping altogether, hum of a nearby highway, drip droppings upon dead leaves, a woodpecker drumming. The boy inhales, holds his breath like a secret. So this is, I guess, a past poem that is stitched onto the present. And the title, I think there was a show called the High Chaparral in the 60s. And so my dad, being a wise ass, he called the family farm the Lower Chaparral. So that's where the title comes from. Past lives upon the Lower Chaparral. The gnarled oak atop a grassy-headed hill, north side of the family farm 4 decades ago, is as real to me today as that state building across the street. I've climbed the hill by myself and can see halfway around the world, or at least to the curve of Highway 43. Beneath my feet, the sage grass sloping down to chicken coops, gravel road meandering towards the old clapboard farmhouse. And there's that ridge of pasture where Bear Creek tops off in springtime rains, the low spot in the gravel road where Granddaddy snatched a rattlesnake, popped it like a whip, and sent the poison head off into a field, or so I've been told. Leaf whisper and endless blue, faintest fume on the westerlies of floodwater and smoke of autumn decay. Just like today, an outdoor table, sandwich scraps, those blank pages to fill in, and that state building across the street. Leaf whisper and endless blue. The heart beats on after breaking, and the mind is 1,000 miles away. So now we're in the present. And this title is cribbed from Japanese Zen master Dojin, 13th century, very important Zen Buddhist master. I'm not practicing. I do bit of Qigong meditation for health reasons daily. I enjoy reading the poetry of Li Po and Wang Wei and Basho, but mainly I do it just to crib cool phrases for the poem titles, as you'll find out. Actually, Mr. David, this is a poem about G. Just thought I'd throw that out there to you. You will know. And so, the Buddha way is under everyone's heel. A friend tells me she was born in the year of the dog, but her mother would have preferred the pig. Little yellow elm leaves ticker tape our slow parade to lunch. Traffic slithers by on its belly. Year of the pig, she said, good fortune and wealth, and so on. This is somehow troubling to me as we stand like terracotta warriors waiting for the crosswalk signal. Why long to be a different person dwelling in another time and space? We're all basically sad-assed and doomed. And as her mother would say, existence is suffering. And as my mother would say, we wish that you lived closer. Now that I think of it, hell, I do too. I wish that I lived closer. Closer to intentions, closer to daydreams, closer to that raw-boned prisoner rattling the skin cage I've locked him inside of. I want to say all of this to my friend, but the light has changed, and we step ahead with all the other travelers. And my birth was in year of the monkey, and most mornings I wake as a hungry ghost, longing to pass on to the next realm. So I'll read a few more from Red Clay. I don't have my previous book, Backmasking, the theme was the sacred and secular music, rock and roll, and the church music I grew up immersed in. And there's not a whole lot of music in this book, but I'll read this one. It's called Last Blue Yodel. Let us both huddle around that tiny golden fire inside the whiskey bottle. Each sip a breath of smoke. Let's bow, pray to weather, that hard northern howling, pawing at our windows. Let us yawn and stretch and down the last dram. Let the remainder of my life be a library paperback, one you toss in the back seat and never return. Let us nod off and snore as my beard goes a winter sky white. Let Jimmy Rogers skip on our thrift store turntable. Woman made a fool out of me. Woman made a fool out of me. Woman made a fool out of me. Here's another title, cribbed from Dogen. Clouds and moon are one, valleys and mountains are distinct. I'm sure that has some sort of dual Zen meaning, but it fits the content of my poem, so I went with that. Also, my dad appears in this. My dad he's in a lot of I have a lot of daddy poems, which is kind of troubling. I should maybe talk to somebody. Daddy appears a lot. It's not Sylvia Plath daddy poems, but it's my own special. They're not Who's Your Daddy poems. They're just daddy poems. But I haven't read that many. There's a ton of them. But anyway, this is a daddy poem. So, clouds and moon are one. Valleys and mountains are distinct. Picking clean the bones of yet another afternoon. Fighting for scraps of memory's feast, whatever crumbs fall my way. Another Monday working for the state, climbing those high hills of forms, reports, recalling something Wang Wei wrote, alone in the empty forest, I have an appointment with clouds. recalling Daddy and myself, decades past, atop Mount LeConte, springtime, high country springtime. My teenage scowl, I'm ashamed to say, offset my father's countenance, his beaming countenance. It offset blooming rhododendrons, soft wash of sunrise bleeding up from the Carolinas. What I would give to be there again, treading through the cool, wet alpine grass, as close to a heaven as I'll ever be. What I would give to reach a switchback and hear Daddy sing The Great Speckled Bird, hear him whistle Steel Guitar Rag. But on the other side of the break room window, an overcast sky has been duplicating itself for weeks now. Also, same redbud tree, same corner chair, same fountain pen and pad. I can no longer see those springtime mountains even when I close my eyes. And these bones, these same old bones, just about picked clean. I'll read one more from Red Clay, and I'd like to read a couple of new ones as well, for the spirit of the evening here. Hot Pride Mountain Nocturne. The deceased leave behind their voices, some in shoeboxes stacked in the back closet of the mind, others under creaking steps, in bird chatter, water murmur, highway hum. Most, middle of the night, seek us out with their quick and dead sing-song, disembodied, tremulous, gusting down off the pine-sided hill. An uncle's high tenor, an aunt's thick alto, a whole ragtag church choir from beyond the beyond. Voices pure as light, light as breath. We breathe in these voices in our sleep, taste these voices in the bittersweet draft of dreams, voices in the shapes of clouds, voices raining down the old mud-trodden hymns. Horse and buggy us back to that little white church in the woods. Lay roses on those headstones carved with our names. Sing out, brethren, in voices long silenced but still heard, harried by a north wind from the past. Let your praises pillow our slumber and greet us like morning mist. Hearken us back from our dreams, brethren, and forward into the light. So that's it for Red Clay. I'll read a few new ones that hopefully are not as southern nostalgic, maybe a little more suburban, surreal. I'm not sure that's what I'm going for. So we'll see. I'm working on a new collection. The placeholder title is My Heavens, and this would be the title poem until a better one comes along. My Heavens. With the deepening darkness came rain, rain with its despondent whisperings, rain threading itself through the lowering sky, through leaves slumbering, rain stitching itself into dreams and dreadful imagery, dreams disappearing as soon as they were dreamt. That sound of my breath, a prayer, that clock on the wall wearing my face. At long last it stopped. At long last the rain slackened, then stopped. The sky raised up on its haunches and howled. The whole world shuddered and slunk back into its hole. Somewhere, a pamphlet proclaimed, this was the first day of the rest of my life. Never enough to go around. high holy processional of thin cirrostratus, of cumulonimbus and chemtrails. Sunlight turns itself down a notch. Wind dies alone atop some faraway hill. Even birds ground themselves, hushed in supplication. I take to the city streets like a stray dog on any Sunday. Last year's gutter leaves, memories detritus us. This fellow on my bus, holding his own against the gods, against time and space, against the nature of being. I blink once and the world has changed. I change my mind and the world stays the same. I'll read a couple more. Tishomingo Sutra. Cicada drone, blue sky, Dharma afternoon. Everything beginning to fade around the edges. Everything going the way of the old family farm. All shadowed stories and hearsay. Hushed chatter from the back pews. I still climb those pines of childhood for a far-off glimpse of future, for that suggestive caress of oblivion's breeze. My speech has become sticky with sap, untranslatable and in love with itself. My heart like some folded road map misshelved in the hometown library. Eyes on the prize, hands across America. There is no pond without its reflection. There is no going without the return. Actually, I want to read, I'm going to read two more. Broken Arrow. Such an utter mystery this day today. Dog alarms, cars barking, oak pollen upon the blank page, jet planes arcing from nowhere to anywhere. Sweet surreptitious sighs from wet root and vine, clouds like monks on the mountain path of sky. Why, oh why, these gnats in my backyard whiskey? The afternoon floating face down in a golden ennui. Every day a holy day to anticipate, to religiously observe. The transubstantiation, the utter mystery. I swallow it all and expect nothing in return. I believe in the zero sum of before plus after. I believe in daylight on the windowsill. I believe another drink is in order. I salute whatever part of my soul that still wanders. Pontotoc, Winnemucca, Thrall, Broken Arrow. That little piece of my soul fixing a flat outside of Fort Worth. The south wind whispering its one promise in the greening prairie grass. And, I'm going to read one more. This is a poem I was working on back in October when I was home visiting my mom. It's the last time I got to sit and visit with her, see her. I read her a draft of this. So it's a special poem for me. I'd like to end the evening with it. Thanks again to Malvern, and thank you all for coming. Caught by the Indian summer train. I keep missing the exit for that hometown in my mind. The burrow in broken pieces, scattered other side of the tracks. They're waiting up for me, I know, fretting, hand-wringing, frittering about the fried pie table. That porch light with its congregation of moths. That harvest moon like a Buddha atop yonder ridge. The leftovers, the folded quilts. those sepia ghosts in their dollar store frames, evening deepening, sinking down to get comfortable, a lone dogwood hunkering up against the house, its leaves little flames flickering, its afterglow some sort of metaphor for the fire we return to, for the ashes sprinkled upon our slumbers. Thank you.